Lena Waithe plays Denise in the third installment of Master of None, Moments in Love. I'm Matt Noble from Gold Derby, here to ask you, Lena, there's a lot of differences with this season of Master of None, but what's something that you think is the same about this season from the previous two?
Well, me and Aziz are still there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think A Master of None has always been a show that wants to explore the things we think about, but often don't really talk about too often. Or things that we talk about in private, but not really have a kind of center the conversation around coming out to your family or being a first generation kid or what it's like to be in your 30s and be married and have found some success but sort of still unsure of your place in the world. Like, we're not afraid to have those conversations or to deal with religion, which is an episode Aziz dealt with in season 2. So I just think the show is very much still what the DNA has always been, which is artists trying to explore subject matter that you don't always explore in comedy.
Mm. Um, what like going from support from sort of a supporting character to a lead character on the show? Did you have to approach Denise differently, or was it just more of the same?
No, I think it's definitely more of the same because I've always brought an honesty and a vulnerability and a piece of myself to Denise every season. And Denise is not me. Uh, Lena is not Denise, but I definitely know women like her. I understand her, and myself and Aziz are never afraid to bring things that we've experienced out in the world or we've had conversations with friends. We like to bring that into the show because it's such a great place to do that. It's such a wonderful platform to explore these type of subjects.
Mm. What do you think was one of the most sort of important scenes for Denise this season?
Oh man, it's too many to count. But I think I can't really call it. I think it really depends on who's watching, because some people have hit me about, the her eating the burger in the car. People have hit me about the slow dance, when they're dancing to Nina Simone. People have hit me about the jokes that she makes and while having difficult conversations. So I think Denise is she's a very interesting character in that she has a unique way of coping, a unique way of dealing with the things that life throws at her. A lot of people really love the scene where she calls her mom, or her mom calls her rather.
Mm.
Um, and she talks to her mom. And so I think she's someone who's trying to figure it out, and she's really vulnerable, and she's not afraid to embrace her flaws.
Mm. What do you think we learnt about Denise this season?
I mean, I think we learned that Denise doesn't have it all figured out. I think we learned that Denise can work at being a better friend and a better partner and a better daughter, and those are and I think we learned that that's almost more important than her trying to be a better writer.
Mm. Did you learn anything about yourself in putting this season together?
I don't love being number one on the call sheet. That's not fun. But I stretched a lot. I grew a lot as an artist. I think I always do with each season of Master of None. I think everyone does. I think Aziz does. I think Alan does. I think all of us just it 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 grows with us, and we grow more because of it.
Mm. What it was a different approach in the writing this season too, sort of like in sort of the process and sort of how you put together the episodes.
Well, I'm usually not a part of the writing process this
Mm.
intensely.
Mm.
Season 1, I didn't write it all. Season 2, I obviously only co-wrote the Thanksgiving episode with Aziz.
Mm.
And with this one, it was just Aziz and I, but also Alan would, have thoughts and give us his feedback on scripts, particularly to Aziz, and we would work on it. But it was just he and I really sending the scripts back and forth. And that was very comfortable and natural for he and I because we had written Thanksgiving episode together, and we just write really well together, and we complement each other, and it's like passing a football, and it's really a lot of fun.
We're an awards website. You won the Emmy Award for the Thanksgiving episode. What was that sort of moment like when you look back on that win?
I mean, it was a whirlwind. It was exhilarating. I felt like I was walking on air. I was in such a unique space in my life. I think I was 33. I think I was 33 years old. It was my Jesus year. And so it was just a crazy time. And but it was also exciting. And I knew that that was the beginning of something. And I think that's what it really felt like. Absolutely a milestone in my career for sure. And also in our industry and in the Emmy history as well, to be the first and still only Black woman to win that category. But I think, to me, my hope is that the door is open, and I look forward to other women following suit, because there's so many funny Black women writing and television, particularly right now in this space. So my hope is that they get recognized by the Academy. But for me, it was the beginning of a journey, and a new chapter in my career. And I really I think I always wanted to make sure I earned that honor and continue to do something with it.
Mm. You said when you won, you said the thing that makes us different are our superpowers. How do you think that sort of reflected in season 3 of the show?
I mean, well, it's a reflection. I think I exemplify that every day. Everything about me that makes me different is the reason why I think I'm sitting here talking to you. If I wasn't born, a queer Black woman on the South Side of Chicago, I don't think you'd have the Shy or Thanksgiving or 20s. I think these are all born out of. But then also too, because I've experienced those things, it gave me this space to be able to understand Denise and to write that story, because sort of all those things I mentioned are sort of a part of my origin story, and who I become and how I exist as that is sort of what Master of None season 3 to me became. That's the result of all of those things that people said, oh, this is a hardship. Am I good on internet?
Yeah,
Internet-wise?
I think
Okay.
so.
Okay, cool. For people that said, oh, because you're a woman, because you're Black, because you're gay, because you were born to a single parent, like your life is going to be more difficult. And in certain ways that they may be correct, but in other ways I said, well, won't look at those things as disparaging, but I'll look at those things as encouraging and inspiring and exciting, that I get to be a person that belongs to many different groups of people in many different communities. And because I do, it enriches my life in so many ways that it makes me, I think, a much more empathetic artist, and an artist that's not afraid to go to darker places either.
Mm. And I guess with this sort of series, was a particular this season of the show, was a particular moment that you felt like inspired by, encouraged by, something that you felt was a particular difference about this season? Not necessarily different from other seasons of Master of None, but different from other stories you've seen on TV and other sort of experiences that you've had.
Oh, well, I mean, I think this is completely different because we just haven't seen this before ever.
Yeah.
See this kind of relationship, a woman go through IVF in this way. You just haven't seen it. And I think that's what makes it historic just in itself. But I think for Aziz and I, we don't want to get credit just for being two people that wrote a story about two Black women that happen to be married and going through some stuff. But we wanted people to feel like it was a human story. We wanted people to feel like it was just an honest story, an authentic story, and we just happen to be those that are telling it.
Mm. Now, from what I understand, Aziz at the end of scenes, who directed all the episodes of the show, would just sort of leave the camera rolling, let the scene breathe, let the scene play out. What was that like as an actress for you? Was it frustrating? Were you wanting him to cut earlier? Was it uncomfortable? Like how are those moments when it just kept going?
No, it wasn't uncomfortable. I mean, I think he wanted it to feel like life. Because the truth is, in real life, after you argue with somebody, nobody yells cut. Nobody says, "All right," to your trailers. Instead, you kind of have to sit in it. You have to live with it. And for us, it was kind of cool because sometimes things would come out of that would be a wonderful surprise. Sometimes you'd have just human behavior that is just honest. Like I might leave the scene, or I might be tempted to reach over and touch Alicia, aka Naomi. So it just, you never knew what would be born out of that. Or even like the dancing sequence we're doing laundry. Like that was sort of us having a good time and being silly and enjoying each other. And people have sort of taken to that and thought, oh, because I think that is just very relatable. And everybody does their laundry. I don't know if everybody dances while they're doing their laundry, but I know couples do silly things while getting things done, and I think people can relate to that.
Yeah. What was there anything you particularly could relate to?
I mean, I think I relate to all of it. I think for Aziz and I to write it, we have to see some truth in it, or have to talk to someone, because he and I haven't gone through IVF or lost a child or anything like that. But we know people that have, and we are friends with people that have gone through these things, and so we've had very honest conversations and candid conversations with our friends. So for us, even though we haven't experienced the things that Denise and Alicia specifically have experienced, we could write to it because we know what it feels like to have a friend that has lost a child or has tried to get pregnant and struggled with it. And also we know about the lack of inclusivity that some hospitals have or insurance companies think about. And it was just really important for us to tell these stories in a very honest and authentic way. So yeah, we could relate to a lot of stuff that we were saying.
Was there a scene that was particularly tricky to write?
No, they all have their own, variations of trickiness. Because look, I think the one with myself and Aziz, those conversations as friends can be really tricky. We don't want them to be too earnest. The argument stuff with both with Aziz's character and his girlfriend, and also myself and my wife. I mean, it was just so we it really was a balancing act. It really was trying to make sure both sides are right. I mean, that's what I always tell people. The true one-on-one of writing is to have two characters in a scene disagree and they both be correct. And so that's really what we always try to do, is to never give one character more than the other, unless it calls for it. But for us, we always really want to make sure that everybody gets a say and everybody has a truth, and their opinion really matters, and we just want to respect that.
Yeah. I think that scene where Aziz and his girlfriend come round is sort of a very interesting one, because for a series where we are dealing primarily this season with sort of like one relationship at a time, we sort of have about, I haven't done the maths in my head, but a whole bunch of relationships all in one room at the same time. Like,
yeah. That was probably a really fun scene to write and to figure out, because a double date is full of a lot of conversations and little mini silly debates and about pajamas versus not and things like that, and then like real arguments. We wanted to make it feel like a real night amongst friends that kind of went awry.
Yeah. And I think this show, like it's called Moments in Love. At the heart of it is the relationship between Denise and Alicia, but it also speaks to like the relationship between mothers and daughters and friends with Denise and Dev. Like, what do you think this show's saying about love, not just in romantic settings, but just love?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's saying that it's ever evolving. It's never the same. It's always growing and changing, and it's complicated, and it's complex, and it's necessary, and it's something everybody needs or wants or yearns for. And so I think that I love the way we deal with parent-child relationships on Master of None. I think we lean into that a lot. I know Aziz has a really cool relationship with his parents. I have a relationship with my mom, and it's just it's fun to explore. And everybody has different relationships, and everybody looks at them differently, and how they look at their friends, how they look at their parents, how they look at their partner. Everybody approaches these relationships in a way differently, but the same. And so, because you're taught how to be a good friend first from your parent, and then your friends teach you how to be a good partner, and hopefully your partner ultimately teaches you how to be a better person. And and that's kind of, I think, what we like to explore. We like to explore how all that stuff connects and how it kind of also can bump up against each other.
Yeah, it's quite like an intimate season, and I imagine filming it was more intimate this season too, New York City, all that sort of stuff. What was sort of the vibe on set and putting this sort of show together?
I mean, look, shooting in COVID is always tricky. It's always taxing, but Aziz did a wonderful job, I think, creating a as communal an environment as one can create when you are forced to wear masks all the time and the set has to constantly be cleared. But he was playing music a lot. We would have moments to joke around during rehearsals. I did get a chance to, like have interactions with the crew. Obviously, it was always as safe as it could be. Just checking in, just asking, how was your weekend? What'd you do? What's going on? How'd you enjoy your day off? Just trying to catch a vibe. Obviously, with the hair and makeup team, we were constantly trying to make sure the hair color was correct for the right scene. So we were always playing detective a lot. But Naomi and I just really got to vibe and bond the most, I think, on set. But even though Alan couldn't be there the whole time, we were constantly on the phone with him, making sure we were doing everything the right way. If Aziz and I weren't seeing eye to eye on something, he would be the tiebreaker, which is like, his lot in life. But it was always great. It was a fantastic. There were some bumps for sure because of we were dealing with shooting in a pandemic, but I really found a lot of joy in it as well. And I think just I felt really grateful to be around people and to be making something. So it was a good time.
Only Denise and Alicia had had a tiebreaker at various moments.
I know.
If only they
thing in a relate. That's why you don't do well, because when you have an impasse, it's like there's no one. You just decide to leave. You're like, you know what, we're out.
Yeah. If only that had Alan Yang's number. He could have sorted it out for him.
Like he helped us out a lot with things as we couldn't decide on some stuff. But it's good. We figured it out.
But can you share with us something that you and Aziz disagreed on?
I mean, the truth is, it's always very small. It's very minimal. It's about like, oh, I like the take we did before versus this one, But and the truth is, those, because we obviously did a lot of oneers, so there's not a lot of cutting. But those scenes, the takes could be very similar. You could honestly watch both takes and go, they're both good. But there are things in one take that maybe I like, or oh, I like that ad lib, or Aziz may go, oh, but I like the way you guys ended in this version. So a lot of and that's why it is really helpful to have a third person to sit back and watch and go, you know what? I think it's the second one. And then more often than not, I always go, okay, yeah, you're right. That's good. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Or if he goes the other way, it's like, yeah, you're right. Let's go that way. And so sometimes you just need somebody else to kind of quiet the noise, because you can get in your head a little bit when you're in those situations and you're shooting oneers and you're playing with dialogue a lot. You can kind of forget what you're doing. And I think Alan's always great, just kind of be a second pair of eyes.
Yeah. What do you think, Lena, was the most funny thing about Master of None season 3?
Again, I'm only going off of what I think.
Yeah, please do.
Look, but again, also here's the deal. I don't even like to tell people what I think is the funniest thing, because I want them to tell me. I think the thing I've been hearing a lot is just on social media, which is like not always the best litmus test. But a lot of people really like the chicken scene, the chickens, the divas. And a lot of people also really like the thing about me finding out who Alicia wants to be our sperm donor, and me obviously being a little taken aback at first and then quickly convinced. At first I was like light-skinned Darius with the weird hair, and then I went to well, he's well read, so I guess I'm not mad at it. It's just people I think kind of dig that. But by the way, that was always one of Aziz's favorite scenes, is that one where we have that conversation and we go back and forth. He always just, I mean, we were very happy he didn't ruin takes, because he would be behind the camera trying to, hold in a laugh.
And just last question, Lena. When you look back on your experience on this series, what do you look back on? And by this season, I mean, what do you look back on with the most stuff? Yeah,
the series. Man, I don't know about that. We have more in us.
No. What do you look back on with fondness?
Yeah, I mean, it's a game changer. It's life changing for me. For Aziz, I think as well, just for him to really step to the director chair in this way, I really think it's the beginning of something for him, something new, a new chapter. I hope. I think he's great, and it's beginning of something for Naomi, even though she's been on screen before. I think no one's seen her on screen in this way. So I think that's what it feels like. It feels like a new beginning for all of us because where none of us are new. Myself, Naomi, Aziz, Alan, I'll include as well. We're not new to this, but we were new to what we did. This was new territory for us this season, and it changed us. It forced us to really to grow a lot more and to be vulnerable and to put something out that was risky and to take a chance. And I think that is what we like to do. And I think it was just a reminder to continue to do that, to continue to take chances, continue to do things that haven't really been done before, and do your best to get it not right, but honest. And so I hope in getting it done honestly, we get it done right.
I don't know. You Lena, were all wearing different hats than you had before.
Yes, yeah. I literally figuratively. Yeah, no.
Yeah, literally and figuratively.
We all, yeah, that's also a thing too. We really, Naomi obviously was a fantastic actress, had never been I think, involved in the creative process. And so that was very new for her. For me, obviously I'm not used to being on screen this much. But I also welcomed that challenge. And Aziz, obviously first time really directing like a filmmaker and on film at that. Jesus, I mean, it was crazy. But we all got, baptized by fire and it was great. And I think the result is something really special. And I'm really happy, I heard from someone, I'm not gonna say who, but that they really enjoyed it. And it's a pretty good stamp of approval. I'll take it.
There you go. Well, Lena, thank you so much for talking with us today. All the best of luck with the upcoming Emmy Awards. And people watching this can go to goldderby.com to make your own awards predictions and join the discussion.
Yeah, bet on us.
Yeah, bet on Master of None. Okay, thanks so much, Lena.
Thank you so much. Peace.